Today we're visiting with Southeast Fisheries District Supervisor BJ Kratz. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. BJ, everybody wants to know about fish populations. How are walleyes in the Southeast District?
We are in good shape. We've got a lot of opportunity, more than we've ever had. You know, some of the better lakes that I anticipate this year will be Mallard Marsh, and then another possibility might be Craft Slough. You know, there's a pretty good walleye population there, and it's got a bunch of different sizes in there and so forth. So it kind of makes it fun for anglers to be able to catch, you know, your eaters all the way up to your trophy type fish.
And we can't name all the lakes, obviously, but you have a lot of other walleye lakes in your district as well.
And you know, we've got small ones and large ones, good access and not so good access. You know, it's surprising, a lot of anglers really kind of tend to go the way of the poorer access sometimes, and you know, for the lack of folks that generally go there, and some really good fishing. Another little lake actually that does have a good boat ramp is Brewer Lake. You know, there's been a pretty good surge in walleye numbers in that lake the last several years, so that one would be another one that's probably has potential to be good this year, a little farther east.
BJ, let's move on to our state fish, the northern pike. How are populations?
Sure. Pike are pretty good shape, actually. We have, you know, this spring we're not going to have any reproduction to speak of naturally, reproduction because of the lack of inflows for a lot of places, but you know, the last several years we have had some decent reproduction in some of our lakes, and probably one of the best ones in the Southeast District is going to be pipestem. You know, and again, that one is kind of unique because it has a plethora of different fish sizes, and like 2018 year class is pretty huge in there and so forth. So there should be a lot of 3-4 pound fish available for anglers there. And then there's a host of small lakes too that we have, and I think I bring up Kalmbach about every year. You know, it's kind of a unique little lake. It's off the beaten path. It's got a decent boat ramp on it, and it's got some pretty good pike numbers in it, and you know, 5, 6, 7 pound class. So it's fun for anglers to get out. But Coldwater Lake, a little farther south, McIntosh County is another one traditionally that is a pretty good pike lake for anglers. And then if they like really huge monsters and the potential to catch that, you know, Lake Ashtabula would be a good bet, particularly, you know, this time of year and into May.
Okay, let's move on to panfish. Let's start with crappies. Crappies are popular in your district?
Yep, and as I say almost every time we have an interview, Jamestown Reservoir is our crappie factory, and it continues to be good. This winter was good fishing for crappies. You know, they don't grow as fast as they probably should, but that's typical when you have big numbers of fish. You know, they tend to compete for the same forage items, but the numbers are great in Jamestown Reservoir. Lake Lemoore has a decent crappie population as well, and places, you know, we've got some other lakes that we've started. Pheasant Lake is one that has a crappie population in it, and even Lake Ashtabula, actually this winter people have got some really nice fish out of there, so they're around.
Okay, last year I joined you and your crew when you guys were doing some perch work. How are perch in the Southeast? We had some excellent perch fishing in the Southeast District this winter.
Typically anglers don't focus so much on those in the summertime. A lot of the perch lakes that we have actually don't have the best accesses on them also. So, you know, if people just want to go out and catch perch, Moon Lake would be a good one. There's not a lot of size there, but it's a place where you could go and, you know, have a lot of action for perch.
Any other fish species?
Yeah, well, of course we got bass and largemouth and smallmouth. Lake Ashtabula is probably our best smallmouth fishery in the Southeast District. We've got a couple pretty decent largemouth lakes, Dead Coal Creek, and then Brewer Lake again, as I mentioned, for the walleyes, also has a very good largemouth bass population in it. So those are some of the bass factories that we have that offer pretty good opportunity for folks.
Okay, any trout fisheries?
Yeah, we have several trout lakes. Blue Heart Dam down in McIntosh County is kind of a off the beaten path, rustic, you know, area that some people really enjoy just for the atmosphere. And of course we have our urban type fisheries too, you know, Brooks Harbor in Fargo, and then Castleton Pond in Castleton itself, and then Morton Pond is traditionally a place we stock, you know, spring trout for folks, and they usually get out and take advantage of it right away. So
okay, how about bluegill lakes?
Yep, we've got several bluegill lakes. Heinrich Martin probably is our best one. Dead Coal Creek. Typically our bluegills kind of run with largemouth bass, so are typically better. Largemouth lakes are, typically better for bluegills too. So, but Heinrich Martin and Dead Coal Creek, Brewer Lake to some extent has some nice bluegills in it. And as I mentioned last year, Ashtabula has, probably a low density but pretty good size, average size bluegill in it that people do, especially catch in May and June.
BJ, let's move on. What are some of the challenges that you're going to deal with here in the next couple of years in the Southeast?
Well, as everyone knows, North Dakota is kind of boom and bust, and we went from having extra water, and we still have extra water if you look at the historical perspective, but we do have receding water levels now. We didn't get any charge from the snowpack or anything. It doesn't look like we're going to get that. So the water levels are probably the biggest challenge, just because we have so many opportunities out there right now in lakes that aren't, super deep to start with. And typically, you can lose 2 to 3 feet of water off a lake during the course of a summer. And that can lead to, increased algae blooms and fish kills and so forth in the hotter months. But on the other hand, one positive is that typically receding water levels kind of condense the fish. And condensed fish means more opportunity for anglers, and sometimes that can actually be better fishing. So it'll be an interesting year to see how that all plays out.
Okay, other than your routine work this spring, summer, any special projects going on?
We've got a couple. Every other year we usually go to Ashtabula and kind of do a pike length frequency histogram type thing. We used to spawn pike out of Ashtabula, so we had a pretty good set of data every year, but we kind of got away from that, and it was good to have that set of information. So we're carrying that on every couple years now, and we're going to try to get some tags possibly in some larger fish this year, similar to what they've done in some of the other districts, in larger water bodies. And we also got another little project, as you know, probably from prior interviews and so forth. We take a lot of perch out of the Hobart system. That's the supply house for the state, if you will. And we're going to take a few of those and put them in a lake that doesn't have a population in them right now, and see how the growth ensues in those fish. Because typically stunted perch, it's not necessarily a problem with the fish, it's a problem with its environment. So you take a small fish and put it in an environment that's got groceries, and lo and behold, they grow just as good as a regular perch would. So we're going to try to document that this year. That'll be one of the projects that we have going on.
So fishing in the Southeast this year should be good.
Yeah, I look forward to being very good. I like to fish, and I'm anxious to get out there this year. But we do have a lot of opportunities, possibly as much as we ever will have, if the weather patterns, start going the other way.
A lot of great information, PJ. Thank you.
Thanks.